Hi everybody, this is just a quick tutorial on how to make a basic mask in Fireworks. Masking is used in all sorts of projects, from banner creation to buttons to just background effects, all sorts of uses for it. And so I thought it would be good to have a tutorial of this out there so that people could access it on their own time. So the first thing we're going to do today is click our new Fireworks document, and let's do a 400 by 300. And I've got a custom background here. I'm going to just make it pretty dark blue. And then I'm going to click OK, and that pulls up our canvas. Now what we're going to do is just a basic mask of taking a rectangle and masking that colored rectangle over this blue background, just to show how a gradient fade works. And we'll take some text that we put on over the top of that, just to show how you can arrange things above a mask to make them stand out. So the first thing that we're going to do is come over here to our toolbar, and we're going to grab our rectangle tool. And I'm going to change my rectangle tool color to something that stands out pretty well, maybe like a light blue. And I am going to drag this rectangle over like so. And then what we have to do next is make the mask. Now the mask is going to serve as a window that allows us to see this object through it. And in some cases it will make the object behind it fade out. So I'm going to come back over to my selection tool, and the first thing I'm going to do after that is copy this using Control-C, or you can right-click and paste. I'll do pasting by right-clicking, go to Edit, and then Paste. And you'll see we now have two rectangles, one on top of the other. Now this top rectangle is going to be the one that serves as our mask. So that's the one that we're going to be messing with. So I'm going to lock this bottom rectangle to make sure that nothing accidentally happens to it. And then with my top rectangle selected, I'm going to start creating the mask itself. Down here in the Properties Inspector, you'll see that we have a couple of different options that we can play with. And just to get the most out of showing you how these masks can be manipulated, I'm going to first round this mask rectangle up to 50%. Now it doesn't look like it rounded, but if I untoggle the visibility of the thing below it, you'll see that this is rounded. Now this is significant because what's going to happen is when we make this our mask, we're going to see what lies beneath it only through this object. So that means that these corners will no longer be visible. Now the next thing, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to change my solid fill to a gradient fill, and I'm going to use just a linear fill. You can also use radial, rectangle. I've seen some of these waves can be really cool as a background effect. Feel free to explore, try it out, use your imagination, but for our purposes we're going to use a linear fill. And you'll see mine made a top to bottom gradient. I don't really want that. I want this side over here to be faded out and this side over here to be opaque. So what I'm going to do is click and drag this circle over to the side, and then I'm going to take this rectangle and stretch it just like that. Make it as straight as I can get it. Good. Now what happens when you make a mask in Fireworks is that what is black is rendered as transparent, which means we'll see through the object beneath the mask. To make it opaque so we can see the object that we want, we need white. So I'm going to drop down here to my linear fade, or linear fill rather, and click Fill Options. And if we click Edit, you'll see we can now change the colors. Now these are inverted up here because I have the orientation moved over to the other side, but as long as you can tell the difference by color, you'll be all set. So here I'm going to click on my blue-green and change that to white. This will now be opaque, and this will become transparent, which will allow us instead to see this color underneath. Now I'm going to want my fade to happen more toward the end and less toward the front. So I'm going to grab my white and slide it over here, and when I let it go, you'll see that it adjusts as it moves along. So I'm going to move mine a little bit further. Now if you wanted, you could do a double fill or whatever by putting another, or a double fade by putting another black item over here by clicking. But we don't want to do that right now, so I'm going to click this and get rid of it. Now I'm going to come over here and add my text so you can see what it looks like afterward. And I'm just going to type in some quick text. This is my text. And I'm going to add just a little outline around that to make it a little more visible. And this, as you can see, is above both of those items. Now we'll come back to this afterward. Next up, I am turning the visibility of my rectangle back on. You can see it peeps around the corners right there. And I'm going to unlock it because now I want to select it. I select that rectangle and this second rectangle by holding Shift and clicking the second one. Then I come up to the Modify option up here on our top menu. Click Modify, go to Mask, and Group as Mask, and you'll see that when we do that, we have now faded out our item into the blue. This is now still opaque. We can see this. This becomes transparent. We see right through that. Now say you did this and you thought, well, I thought it was going to look nicer, but I really want my fade to be up further. That's easy to fix. Just come over here to your layers panel, click on your faded rectangle, go back down to Linear in the Properties Inspector, and click Fill Options again, and go to Edit. And now again we can drag this a little further back and you'll see that it changes up here. We can force it to fade faster, fade slower, anything you want to do. And then just click out of there when you're all done. And now we'll put our text right up here. And you can see that sits over the whole thing. It does not fade out. If we had wanted to, we could have grouped it with the rectangle and made that a mask and faded the text as well. Many things you can do. Just a basic skill so that you can get started and really do explore around and see how it works. So that's the end of the tutorial. I hope you find it useful and have a great day.